We should be live. Sorry for the confusion. You guys may have seen a couple videos trying to show what was going on. Having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Let's see. Okay, it looks like we're live. So whoever is here, if you guys don't mind, just let me know if audio or visual is good. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it's working out. I'm going to wait for more people to come in. If you're just joining me now, some technical issues were involved for a second there. Let's see real quick. Just going to wait for more people to kind of file in, making sure it's actually up. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're good to go. All right. So for those of you guys just joining, welcome back. A little bit of technical difficulties, getting everything all sorted out. But now we're in a position where everything looks like it's working the way that it should be. You guys just let me know for audio visual that everything is working. Just want to make sure you guys can see and hear. All right, let's try that. All right, so this one, doing this tonight, and for those who just joined, welcome. Doing this tonight because may have to be busy on Wednesday night, so I want to at least provide one kind of live stream, at least for the week. Typically, I do the question and answer live streams on Wednesday nights around 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But in this case, just going to do this here. I'm probably going to be here for a couple hours so people can come in, join in, and just go ahead and ask any questions that you guys may have. Let me just grab this real quick. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. As usual, I'll pick it up in the chat, and then we can just kind of go with that. Let me set this up real quick. I'm going to get that started. And if you guys are there or anyone's there, just let me know if you guys can hear me all right, if everything's working out. Making sure. Okay, make sure that's going to be good to go. Okay. All right. So got that taken care of. I'm going to start right now. I'm looking at so far the Senate results from the election, which that's going to be, for those who know, that's going to be kind of a critical component to state of the Second Amendment as things are now. Let's see. So we're going to be going over that. That's going to be a big part of it. All right, so you guys probably see the screen changing, just looking at different updates we're going to put as part of the State of the Second Amendment. Just kind of see what we're doing with that. All right, so for those possibly just joining us, a little bit of a technical issue tonight. Still waiting on a couple more people to show up, get this thing started, and then we'll just get started moving into the State of the Second Amendment. We're going to be doing just kind of a Q&A session as well. I'm going to pull up a couple other things here that are going to matter as we talk about that. Okay, let's see. And we've got the real quick. All right, so right now, for those of you joining, this is going to be a State of the Second Amendment kind of live stream. Just recapping, typically I'll do a Q&A session every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that's just kind of an opportunity to do a live stream with you guys, see, or answer any questions you guys have. This one, kind of a last minute, had some technical issues before we got here, and we're going to see how we do. So going to got a couple other results here I want to bring up. So I'm ready for that when we get there. In terms of the election, right now, chiefly looking at the Georgia U.S. Senate runoff is going to be something of particular importance. So we'll just keep that going. Let's see. Previous to this, I was on a couple hours ago, real quick. We were talking about a couple videos I have in the works. And if you guys have video requests or a certain gun related topic that you want to go ahead and ask or see if we can do a video on it, you guys can request it. The one big request I've gotten from one subscriber is doing another almanac over the U.S. Constitution, just breaking it down. What is it? What parts or components of it does it have? what function was it meant to do, possibly in contrast to maybe what we're doing with it these days. So just a deep dive into the Constitution. So that's something I'm going to do. I'm continuing to do more research on that. At the end of the day, I know a video like that is not going to get as many views, just because not everyone is going to be willing to deep dive. For me, now I already have it. This was like years ago that I did. That was way before I started doing almanacs or podcasting. It was a two-parter because at that time, YouTube, you could only upload, I think, 30 minutes maximum was the maximum length of the video that you could upload either at that time, or at least the size of my channel back then, you were limited to just the basic 30-minute amount. So that one I ended up doing like a two-part series. I think I was cleaning some kind of gun, maybe a black powder pistol while I was doing that. So the next almanac definitely going to be a lot more, I don't want to say professional, but it's really going to be a deep dive into the U.S. Constitution. Where did it come from? What purpose does it serve? What parts or components of it are there? Also breaking down some of the more interesting things or more common things some people have probably heard when it comes to, the interstate commerce clause, a lot of the stuff in Article 1, stuff regarding the Supreme Court, moving into the kind of towards the end of it, of how do we amend it or change it. So let's see, we have SJFI in the comments there. So I'm going to say hello to at least our first comment there, and we'll keep going. I'm going to pull up a couple more things we're going to be talking about in terms of the state of the Second Amendment, what things are going to matter here. But getting back to what I was just talking about, at the end of the day, I am going to do another video focused just on the U.S. Constitution. Again, I had a two-part series like that back in the day. Let's see, FBI. Not sure what that is. Let's see. We'll see what else we got going on with that. But yes, I'm going to be doing a series Constitution. It's going to be in an almanac format. For me to properly do it or reapproach it in such a better way these days than the first two parters I had like years ago, the overall length probably going to be sitting about an hour and a half. It'll be just a one big one-parter kind of chunk. So I know when I do videos like that, it's not probably going to get, unfortunately, an incredible amount of views. I don't claim to be the most entertaining person. Some of it is going to be a little dry, but it is going to be important, I guess, just like anything in legal terms or reading a legal document. Going to be a little dry, but also important. I'll try to make it entertaining or relevant. But at the end of the day, that is coming down the pipeline of videos that I'm going to do. Currently still in progress of trying to produce better content. Like I was saying hours ago in that first little quick live stream, getting ready to go. One video that got to post-production and then I had to pull the cord on it so I could redo it this week was the video about building a lower receiver. So it had all been filmed. Yeah, now it's saying SWAT, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Let's see. Okay, getting back to business here. So last week, about 4 or 5 days ago, I filmed building a complete lower receiver. AR-15. I've already done 2 videos on it. So one was building an Aero Precision Complete M5 AR-10 lower, starting from their stripped Aero Precision's stripped M5 AR-10 lower, and then building that out into a complete lower. That one I did live action. That's one of the more recent videos on my channel. Previous to that, and a while back, I did a video on building an AR-15 standard low receiver. When I did that, it was a bunch of detailed photos I took, rolling in these photos as I was going. And that video just became kind of a huge voiceover for how you build an AR-15 lower, but it was all just a bunch of photos that I edited and put in there. Let's see. One of my buddies just sent me a news article about my alma mater, my school where I went to college, removing a statue of Stonewall Jackson that used to be like a pretty popular thing or a fixture outside of barracks, but might be a little bit behind the times. That happened a little while ago. So, and we actually already talked about that. I can't remember which Q&A or live stream that came up in, but somebody was asking me about that, and I just kind of laid it out. For those interested, if you guys ask, we can go down that road, maybe in a little bit more detail if you guys want it. But at the end of the day, getting back on schedule to recap on everything. Had some technical issues in the hours leading up to this, but we're live now, so you guys can jump in. Probably sit here for about a couple hours total. We're going to be talking about the state of the Second Amendment, and we're also going to be doing some Q&A, any questions that you guys have. So right now, just waiting for a couple more people to kind of join in. See if you guys have any questions or anything like that. I do have some things pulled up here that we can go over. You guys will see the color change there. Got a couple things staged that we're going to talk about. Some things that do matter when we're talking about the state of the Second Amendment. Chiefly right now, we're more focused on whatever the final results are going to be for the U.S. Senate election. Everything has come back, and it's there. We're currently sitting right now at the Republican Party has 50 seats guaranteed in the U.S. Senate. And then the Democratic Party, the Democrats have 46 guaranteed seats that are ready to go, that are there. The only kind of contingent factor is the state of Georgia is one of those states that has a runoff election. If different states have different laws in place when an election happens, whether it's Senate chiefly, but governor, could be congressman, or members of the House of Representatives being voted on in their state. Certain states have certain laws in place where if the election comes to a certain percentage point, or there's a certain amount of how close two candidates might be, that there could be, it's within a certain margin of error as per whatever state has whatever laws, then a runoff election needs to happen. So that's essentially between those two people voting again, or the constituents in that state voting again, and in that case finding out who it actually is going to win. So that's happened in Georgia. That's the only state that's going to have a runoff going on. So again, the GOP has 50 guaranteed seats in the U.S. Senate. Democrat Party has 46 seats guaranteed. There's 2 independents, or 2 people from other parties or independent. So there's 2 remaining seats yet to be finally determined. And Georgia is the only state, they have those laws in place where either a recount being contested or the margin of error is so close where it now goes to a runoff. So they essentially vote again. Georgia's going to do that January 5th is their runoff election day. And based on the results of that is when we'll know what we're going to have in terms of the composition of the U.S. Senate. Article 1 of the Constitution, it covers the legislative branch. Moving into Article 2, that covers the executive powers, the reason why these things are going to matter. Article 1, or the legislative branch of the government, to pass anything in the Senate, there needs to be at least a majority. So out of a Senate that has 100 seats total, 2 from each state, there needs to be at least 51 votes in the Senate to pass something on to the executive, or to pass something in the Senate. And that would be a majority. That's what's required. 51 out of 100 that have to bless off or pass something. So that's where that matters. But also Article 2 of the Constitution, bringing that in, that's going to matter with executive powers, also detailing the powers of the vice president, which in this case is going to be Kamala Harris. So if the Senate has a 50-50 tie and it's not sure whether this thing is going to pass or fail, and they're deadlocked at 50-50 on a vote, then that is one of the vice presidential powers. They basically break the tie, where it comes down to them, and their yay or nay, yes or no vote decides if that thing passed the Senate or if it didn't. So that's all of that's going to be important when we're talking about two things particularly that are still related to the Second Amendment. One is any potential assault weapons ban or federal gun control stuff, or anything that's going to happen on a federal level. If in this case, the Democrats, of course, that's part of at least Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's kind of campaign platform or promises. And actually, that's something else I'll pull up is, let's see. That's something I'm going to want to pull up. The Biden campaign and all of that. What are the objectives when it comes to, let's see. I actually read through it, thought about doing some kind of almanac on it. I figured I'd probably commit more time to it if Joe Biden did end up winning. In this case, he did. Let's see. So now I'm on Joe Biden's website, the Biden-Harris website at this point. Pretty extensive. Let's see. Now it's asking if I want to donate. I'm going to say obviously no. Let's see. That's something that actually we should really handle in terms of looking at what Biden wants to do with guns, or at least what the gun control objectives are going to be. That's another thing. What, in this case, using the present example, what the Biden-Harris website, what Joe Biden on his platform, on his website, what they would like to do in terms of gun laws, gun control, things like that. They have that published on their website, which I have pulled up here that we can look through. I've already looked through it, but definitely, especially situation dependent, we should definitely do a live stream or at least an almanac detailing every single measure on this thing. But what they promised to do, or what they published that, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to get this done. This is what we want to do. That's obviously not a direct translation to what may necessarily happen at all, because it's going to need to be some kind of bill that's going to go through the House and the Senate. They have to pass it in both chambers of Congress, but it also has to be the same version of the bill. That's where a lot of back and forth comes from. Maybe the House will pass something It goes up to the Senate. They'll pass a different version of the bill, maybe has different amendments or something a little different about it. Has to go back down to the House, see if they can do it. So lots of back and forth on that. And again, like we were just talking about, we still don't know yet the final or current composition of the U.S. Senate. We are still waiting on the state of Georgia. They have their runoff election that they're holding on January 5th. So at that point, we're going to figure out what our final composition of the U.S. Senate is going to be. Therefore, that's important because, again, if you're trying to pass any gun control or federal assault weapons ban or anything, you need a majority in the Senate, which, of course, needs to be at least 51 votes or more. Let's see. Pick this up. So wrapping it up, state of the Second Amendment, part of that conversation we're going to have, it really talks about the composition of the Senate, or eventually what that composition is going to look like. The Republican Party has guaranteed 50 seats in the Senate. The Democrats have guaranteed 46 seats. There are 2 independents or non-left or right in terms of Democrat versus GOP. So there's 2 more seats left. Those, those 2 seats are in the state of Georgia. Georgia's doing a runoff. So at that point, we need to figure out what the final composition of the Senate is going to be. It's going to matter for 2 reasons. So one is going to be any control bills that are coming forward. Like I said, the next thing is going to be if there were some kind of maneuver to pack the courts, is what you hear it. You probably heard, if you, let's put it this way, this is how polarized our media and we are, at least politically at this time. If you did not want Joe Biden to win and you're generally in favor of guns, you probably know or have heard about packing the courts, and we can talk in detail what that is. If you wanted Biden to win, probably haven't heard anything about it. And Joe Biden, the few times he was given some pretty hard questions and not just thrown a softball or 2 from reporters, but the few times he's actually been cornered on it, like, hey, do you plan on, if you win, do you plan on packing the courts? He's always dodged it, not talked about it, didn't want to say anything. Packing the courts would be, so moving into Article 3 of the Constitution, we're talking about the judicial branch. Chiefly, we're talking about the Supreme Court of the United States, which currently, and for the vast majority of our time, has been filled by 9 justices. And right now we have a 6-3, worst case 5-4, majority of more originalist or conservative justices, or justices that would not be as favorable to gun control and other things, agenda pieces kind of on the left. So feasibly, if they get that majority in the Senate, they could, and you don't need to amend the Constitution to do this. It would simply be a bill that could make its way up and then get signed into law that would enhance the number of justices on the Supreme Court. So from a really devious perspective, if we have a 6-3, worst case 5-4, pretty guaranteed or solid majority of originalist justices that would not be in favor of supporting a federal assault weapons ban, they can just be like, well, we're going to, put this bill in, and now we're going to have 12 or 15 or any other magic number of justices on the Supreme Court. So now the majority that you once had, it doesn't matter anymore. And then Biden basically gives himself, or gets the opportunity to nominate a number of whatever number that would be, but a number of additional justices on the Supreme Court. Let's see. So that's part of that equation. Going back real quick, videos on deck. Going to redo the AR-15 lower receiver complete build video. So taking a stripped standard AR-15 forged mil-spec aluminum receiver and then building that into a complete lower. For that video, not going to do anything crazy. Not going to have any drop-in triggers. Not pretty much just going to have a plain Jane kind of setup that you guys are going to get to see and be able to see how that build happens. I do have 2 videos previous to that on it. One from months ago, that's the video I already put out on how to build an AR-15 lower receiver. That video, the shortcomings there is that was just a ton of photos that I took, really detailed photos, and the whole video, all those photos were edited in the proper order, but basically that whole video was just a voiceover. So you'd have to see the pictures, listen to how I'm explaining how it's happening, and then hopefully it works out. I did get some feedback like, hey, I didn't really understand this step, or I didn't really know what you were meaning by it when you were saying to do that. So the next one I did was the Aero Precision M5 lower receiver build. So that was Aero Precision's AR-10 lower receiver, and basically building that out from a stripped lower to a final complete lower. That video was good because you got to see everything happen live action. And honestly, for the most part, you could pretty much build an AR-15 based on that video. But there are some differences between an AR-10 receiver, specifically Aero Precision's M5 AR-10 lower receiver, and that of a standard AR-15 lower. So long story short, I'm going to be putting out a video probably next week of the live action. You get to see it. I'm explaining details as we go, and we're building a complete AR-15 lower receiver from a stripped AR-15 lower receiver. That one I already did. I filmed it about 4 or 5 days ago, went to post-production. That's when I discovered I was having an audio issue for about like 80% of it. So basically not what I wanted it to be, not to the quality standard I was trying to achieve for you guys. This also could be one of those videos that people who are not even subscribers, people who don't know anything about my channel, that they might share it with buddies, or people might tap into it. People might see it or get to see it. And, that's why the quality standard for that video matters a lot to me. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and redo the video. I'm going to buy another strip lower, all the same parts, and we're just going to put together a lower receiver. So that's going to be coming down the pipeline. Like I was talking about earlier, we do have a request to do another almanac based on the U.S. Constitution. So that one I'm going to do. I know right out the gate, it's not going to get a lot of views. Again, previously, going back a couple years or years ago, I did a 2-part series on that. Still to this day, doesn't have a lot of views, but I feel like it's important. I would probably do it in an almanac kind of platform. So what we'd be left with would be about an hour and a half talking about the Constitution. Where does it come from? What parts does it consist of? We're still using it to this day. The times that we've changed it or amended it, which would be 27 times, briefly glossing over each of those amendments, just to put people in a position to really understand what it is. And then any changes or maybe changes in interpretation that have happened over time. So typically I do this every Wednesday night, usually from 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. It goes for about 2 hours. In this case, I might be busy Wednesday night for this week, so trying to get something out and just going to see how many more people show up. Still don't have any questions, and that's fine. But at the bottom line, the state of the Second Amendment, we're still waiting on the results of the U.S. Senate election. Georgia is in a state of runoff, so they have a runoff election January 5th. That's when we're going to find out what the final numbers on the Senate is going to be. Potentially looking at these percentage points, but at this point, you kind of never really know what's going to happen. One candidate, David Perdue, he's part of the Republican Party. His percentage was looking at 49.7%. His Democrat opposition, John Ossoff, was moving at 47.9%. So that one looks like it could favorably go towards Perdue, and that would make 51 Republicans in the U.S. Senate, thereby being able to stop any bills or things coming through in terms of gun control, packing the courts, anything like that. Next one doesn't look as good, where the Republican candidate is at 25.9%, Democrats at 32.9%. So the final composition of the Senate might be, if these numbers can show us anything, might be looking at 48 Democrats, 2 independent or non-aligned, and then 51 Republicans. But we're going to have to see how it goes. Let's see. Just looking at some more data here. All right. I think what I'm going to do now is I've got the Biden-Harris campaign website pulled up, and it's talking about the Biden plan to end our gun violence epidemic. So there's a lot of points here. A lot of this stuff just kind of going over the stuff that he would like to do. And again, this is really just talking about what they want to do as opposed to what actually we might end up with, which most drastically likely was going to fall very short of that. So I think I'm going to transition to doing an almanac on this to kind of see what we're going to get. But unless anything comes up, and I'll let you guys know, we're going to be looking at Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, where we can go over just another Q&A, any questions you guys have. And I think we're going to call it there, and I'll see you guys Wednesday night. All right. Thanks for watching.